My name is Don Rasmussen, and I'm going to be your host today to present this fabulous webinar from ATG. And today we are going to focus on solving all the remote work challenges that all of us are having to go through right now. I'm sure that there's lots of people out there with questions about how they can even pull some of this off. Obviously, we have major concerns about productivity and efficiency dropping off as people move home with more distractions and less bandwidth, if you will, over their internet connections, and maybe they can't do what we anticipated that they can do. So along the lines of those questions, everybody, we're all having to work remotely. We're all having to make adjustments here. And so some of the questions that we might be asking ourselves are, how are we going to pull this off, right? We have something like BIM 360, but is BIM 360 going to solve all the problems and all the challenges that we have from a remote working situation, right? Not all of them. It's not going to check every single box. We're going to use some other products that help us with that. We also have other file types that we need to be concerned about. We can't just be concerned about our design file types. We've got to be concerned about ancillary packages, different pieces of information like Word docs, Excels, PDFs, all sorts of different file types come into play here. What are we going to do with those as well? And then, of course, how do we guarantee that everybody's getting the same access to the same items quickly and easily? And if we really think about this, everyone, we're all scrambling right now, but if we think about remote work styles and what the industry, or rather what the technology has been doing over the past decade, it's really been pushing us towards this, right? As soon as all of us got email on our cell phones, and then we got something like BIM 360 where we can look at and review documents on an iPad or our cell phones as well, remote work really started to take off. Speaking as an old contractor, guys, I've been working from the job site for years now. So these challenges that we're all facing right now are not necessarily unique, but the timetable is far smaller than typically is. And so when we think about answering all these questions, how do we do this? How do we navigate these files? How do we get to all these things? How do we make sure that our users are still being efficient? Well, ATG does have a solution for you, and it's a solution that we're going to be giving away for free. And that solution is HIVE. HIVE is made by CTC Software. And as you guys know, ATG is the exclusive reseller of CTC tools here in North America, or I should say rather the continental United States. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what HIVE is, and then we'll go ahead and jump into a demo. So HIVE is a cloud-based file management system. It is focused to operate in Revit. So therefore it exists inside and outside of Revit. I can use HIVE from the Revit toolbar. I can also use HIVE from my desktop. And I'll be walking you through both of those scenarios here today. I can put almost any file type I want into HIVE. As a matter of fact, the only file types that I've found that I cannot put into HIVE are videos, so MP4s, and audio files, MP3s. I have found that those don't go to HIVE. Just about every other file type I have tried has gone up into HIVE. And I'll be showing you that functionality here in just a little while. Of course, it's user login based because it's a cloud management system. You have full admin control with all of those users. So similar to your BIM 360 setup is how HIVE is going to work. You're going to add your users, and then you're going to grant them access and or control to certain libraries. That is how HIVE is going to work, and that is how you're going to streamline your content. You can predefine your libraries, you can predefine tags. Again, we'll be getting into that throughout the demo so that you can see some of that. But when we think about HIVE as far as it's pertaining to Revit, everyone, I want you to keep in mind that when I use the term Revit content, I am not just simply talking about Revit family files. I am talking about any and all files that pertain to Revit operation. Schedules, drafting views, system families, groups, those are just some of the things that HIVE can do. Gonna hop in here and obviously show you in the demo right now, but before I hop into showing you exactly how HIVE works, I want to show you a little video that I recorded yesterday when I was at my house. So the reason I want to show you this video, guys, is I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between a VPN connection and a cloud-based solution like HIVE, okay? And in doing this timing, what I wanted to do was show you kind of what the differences might be between a VPN connection and a HIVE connection. So we're going to start here with the VPN. Again, I recorded this from home. When the VPN pulls up here, you'll see that in the lower right-hand corner, I'll pull up my VPN to show you that I have access into my VPN. I've logged in. I've got a timer downloaded and stored on top. And so I'm just going to go ahead and load in this mechanical equipment configurator, and we're going to see how long it takes to load. Again, guys, this is a VPN connection. And while we're watching this video, I want you to keep in mind that your users are experiencing this downtime when they're loading things into projects currently if you're using a VPN. When users experience downtime, how easy is it for them to get distracted and move on to other things, right? Does this downtime multiply? Does it turn into something else that maybe it shouldn't? Another thing I want you to keep in mind is that you can do this multiple times a day, right? We're going to load in content as we need it as to keep designing. So this is not going to be just do this once a day and move on. This is going to be doing this several times a day. And as we see, it's still loading in the content here from the VPN connection. And if we look here, oh, there it loaded in. We're at 54 seconds. It took 54 seconds to load in that piece of equipment. Now we're going to same piece of equipment, same everything, but it's already set up on HIVE, and I'm just going to use HIVE to drag and drop that in. See here, I got my VPN connection turned off. I'm going to go ahead and grab that HIVE model, and I'm going to drag and drop it into the project. Load all the types in. And you can see it's thinking here. You can see the environment comes back. And really quickly here, we're going to have a family to place. 32 seconds. 32 seconds there, everyone. And look, it is live on my cursor. I could even move this around a little bit if I wanted to, which I believe I will here in a moment. I'm just a little ahead of myself with the narrating. Hope you judge me. All right, so that was the video, guys. So what did we just see in this video? What we just saw was nearly a 50% reduction in load times. Imagine what that means if you extend that out across your entire user base, your entire modeler base, right? You're saving yourself tons and tons and tons of time. So with that, guys, I'm going to open up, or rather get into my desktop right now. That's where I'm going to go. Here in the desktop, here I have HIVE. And so I'm just going to double click to open HIVE. And I'll show you just so you can kind of see a little bit of the user interface here and what HIVE kind of looks like. Over here, you have different commands and ways of getting to your content. This is and set permissions. So as your admin sets permissions, the abilities or the options that users have here are truncated. That's how your control is set. You have filters over here that you can write to search for certain content. Of course, you have libraries that you can predefine, and you have tags that you can predefine, okay? So what I want to do here, everyone, is show you how quick and easy it can be to get set up and moving inside of HIVE. So the first thing I have to do when I want to get set up and moving inside of HIVE is set up my users and groups. Now, I've already got that open in my browser, and you can see here that I have all my users set up, and I can group them together in certain groups if I want to. You'll notice up here at the top that you can just simply user one at a time, or you have a CSV template right here, which you can extract, populate with all of your contacts and your emails, and then load back up into HIVE, obviously, and set up all your users. So user setup goes very, very quickly, especially if you have an IT department that's keeping track of this stuff already. So I'm going to minimize that. We're going to get back into HIVE, and I've set up my users. So now I have to set up a library. So I'm just going to come to my libraries here. As you can see, I have a list of all the libraries that are set up, and I'm just going to quickly make a new library. And I'm going to call this library HIVE Demonstration. I could, of course, add a description here, right? And now here's where I can add users. So I can pop right in here and I can add a user. And I'm just going to select a couple boxes here. And I'm going to say, selected 6 are added. Thank you so much. Now I can create. We scroll down here, see Hive demonstration right here. Now that I have Hive demonstration, if I really wanted to, I can skip right to adding content, everyone. And before I add content, what I want to do is show you the content I'm about to add. So here you see a typical file folder. This file folder is actually sitting on my desktop right now. With this file folder, what you see what I've put in here, all these different file types. I don't want you to focus so much on what the names are here, but I want you to look at this list over here. Notice I have an AutoCAD template file. I have a recap scan, so I have a point cloud file in here. I have a Revit project file, an HTML doc, right? A DWG file, a JPEG, an Excel file, a Word doc, Navisworks file. These are all different file types. There's not one of the same file types in here. This is the folder that I'm going to go ahead and put up here on Hive. So I'm going to come here to my libraries. I'm going to find the library I just made. I'm going to select that. So now it's going, whatever I put up here is going to go to that library. And then I'm going to add a tag. Okay. Now, I don't have a tag that's pre-established. If I do, I can use the one that's here on my list, but I can also make a new tag. So I'm going to make another tag, and we're going to call this Hive demonstration. And we're going to create that tag. So you see that's automatically checked as you add that tag. Now all I have to do is add my content. So if I go to a folder here, and I want to add in that folder I had, which is right here, I'll click OK. You see it brought all those files across from that folder, all the different file type extensions you can see right here. Now that's all in there. All I have to do is hit process. You can see it's doing 13 files right now. These aren't the largest files in the world. I'll be honest with everybody, but they're moderate sized. This is going to be something that's relatively common from a size perspective for most of us. But remember, everyone, it's putting up lots of different files, file types rather, that I'm going to be able to access here in a minute. So as soon as this is done uploading here real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and get into how we can edit these files while they're still up in Hive. So a little over halfway there. And right around the corner from being done. Of course, when your files are uploading, right, Hive is processing all of this data. Once that's all done, you can see it's uploaded here. Now, if I go to my search feature, here I see everything, right? If I come over here and use my filters, I simply go to the library I created, apply that. Here you see everything I just loaded. Of course, I could do the same thing if I wanted to clear all that selection, and I'll apply that clear. So that goes back to everything. And now I'll just use the tag to search. Nope, sorry guys, library first. My apologies, Hive demonstration. There we go. Now the tag. I'll refresh the tags here. There it is, Hive demonstration. I'll apply that. And you'll see everything here, okay? Now, one of the things I want to show you about Hive, everyone, that really stresses that it is not simply a Revit platform, right? It does multiple file types. As you see here, all these multiple file types are placed. But if I come into any one of these file types, for example, I'm going to start here with a Word doc. I'm just going to double click on this Word doc. You see that's opening up in Word right now. So I'm going to do something to this Word doc. I want to edit this Word doc, right? Whatever. For now, I'm just simply going to erase what you see right here. And it helps if I actually hit the delete key and not the page up key. There we go. Now that has all been deleted, I'm going to go ahead and save that document. Now notice when I save this document, there's no save window coming up, no save as. It's just simply saving that document. So now when I close this document, it has been saved up to Hive. So if I come back to this document and double click on it, be able to see that that edit is still there. So that's what Hive can do for Word. Let's go see if it has the same capabilities with Excel. So I'm going to go to this Excel file, double click on this Excel file. And maybe I'm going to add some lines here. I'll pull these all down and add those lines right there. Again, I'm going to save this document. No save window pops up. I come back, open the document up again. We see that those edits remain. So again, everybody, more than Revit, more than just Revit content and Revit sorting. That's all good and grand with a Word doc or an Excel file. But you notice here, I have a template file for CAD and I have a DWG file for CAD. So what can this do for CAD? If I double click and open that CAD file, you see it's opened up an MEP, even though it says site plan, guys. Sorry, everybody, I'm an MEP guy with MEP examples. So I do apologize for that if that offends you, but want to let you know as well that Hive works for everybody. It's not just an MEP solution and a solution, right? It's a file solution. Here I am in CAD. Let's make a couple edits here, just really quickly. Maybe get a couple of these trees to be removed. And they're gone. I'm gonna save that. Saved, close it. I'm gonna open it to see if those edits were saved up to the cloud. And there you go, you'll see that the edits remain. So I'll go ahead and close out of this. But just to kind of expand some of your thinking, everybody, and what this can do, obviously you see here that I have a PDF file up here, that point cloud file is up here, right? I have some JPEGs, some PNGs, okay? We can do this with all sorts of different file types, but some other things that I like to keep up here and just, lock down access to, if you will, but it's a single source, is my shared parameter file for, as an example. My settings files, here's a Revit family processor settings file. So if you're using other tools from CTC, you can go ahead and you can upload those as well and keep them as a single source. So now that we've looked at a little bit of Hive outside of the Revit environment, I want to go ahead and hop into the Revit environment. So I'm going to open up Revit, and then of course I'm going to go to the CTC Tools tab after I shorten my project browser a little bit. So here I am on the CTC Software Tools tab. Okay. On the CTC Software Tools tab, you can go ahead and look all the way over to the right where I have my Hive, and I can go ahead and click on Hive. This will open up Hive inside of my Revit interface. Go ahead and expand this so you guys can see that. And then just to show you here, I'm going to go ahead and go to that same library I was in before. Now I have Revit only only Revit content checked here. Okay. And you can see that that library exists, but since I'm in the Revit environment and I don't have a Revit family inside of here, that family is not coming up. So Hive is intelligent enough to understand when it's opened inside and outside of the Revit environment. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and add some content real quickly. I am going to add it to that same library. Put the same tag on it. And I actually have a folder already set up. So I'm just going to simply drag and drop something I want loaded in. And then I'm going to process. You can see it's loading in a cabinet unit heater Revit family file. Once that's done, guys, I can just go ahead and go to search here, and I'm going to go find it and apply that tag, and here it is. Now, one thing I want to show you before I place this are the details. So I right-clicked on the element, and I'm going to come down to details, and I'm going to expand this again so you can start to see why some of that process time maybe took a little while. Right here, you'll see a breakdown of all the family types that are loaded into this family. Over here, you will see all the parameters that are assigned. Yes, you can search for elements, Revit family files, based upon parameters, which is a huge help to most people. Okay, and a little bit about this too before we move on. Here, guys, you'll notice that there's some tracking going on here. I can rate everything that's up in HIVE, give it up to 5 stars. You have the Revit version year right here, the category that's in for Revit, how many times it's been placed in your Revit model, any comments your users might have, how many times this has been downloaded, and of course, there's other attachment capabilities as well. So what I'm going to do now is just minimize my HIVE here, and I am going to simply take this piece, bring it into Revit. And there it is. Obviously, I'm inside of Revit, guys, so native Revit functionality with families now takes over. If I hit my space bar, it flips around. And then I can just go ahead and I'm going to put him right here in the entryway against the outside wall. So we have some heat in here. And you can see how simple and easy it was for me to throw a family up there, bring it back out of HIVE, put it inside of my Revit project, and of course, go on with my Revit modeling, scheduling, and everything else. So that's just, guys, a little crash course in HIVE and how quickly you can set it up, how quickly you can start getting your users to use it and have it deployed across your entire remote user workforce. Obviously, again, this is focused on Revit, but again, file types are multiple. You can do tons and tons of different file types. So I don't want you to forget about that part of it as well. And so I'm going to go ahead here and get back into the PowerPoint then, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we just saw. So guys, we just showed you how you can do Revit, PDFs, Excel files, Word docs. You can even do some things like URL links. You can do things with CAD. But always remember, keep in mind that you're going to be able to do TXT files. You're going to be able to do those settings files that I showed you. You're going to be able to do almost every single file type that's out there can be put in HIVE, edited, and put back. So this really is a great tool for you to take your remote users and connect them to you no matter where they're at. They could be on the job site, they could be in their home, they could be at the office. One thing that's nice about HIVE is it can be cloud-based, but it also can be server-based. Wouldn't really recommend that right now because cloud-based is, as you saw, is much faster. But that is an option for you once all this chaos starts to die down. And so if we look a little bit about what HIVE is, what is HIVE at the end of the day? Well, HIVE is business continuity. HIVE is your ability to be able to bring all your users together again and have them working as closely as they would be inside of the office, because they're going to have access to the same content in a very quick manner that is the same standard content that you as the manager or the BIM manager, if you will, get to control. Right? So we've seen complete Revit user control is offered with HIVE, right? Easy access to Revit content. It's very simple to grab it, open up in the Revit interface and dump it into a Revit project. We have full administrative user control. We didn't get into that in the demo, but there's all sorts of videos out there on HIVE, guys, that are a little more technical, and we'll get into all the picks and clicks that you need. All the searches that I just showed you in the filter section, those are all savable. You can redeploy those, so you don't have to keep setting those up every single time you get into HIVE. Of course, editing and saving documents up to HIVE is great. User interaction is awesome. As a old BIM manager, guys, one of the things that bothered me the most is I didn't really know how everybody I was making families and everything for was using what I was doing. Hive allows you to look at that. Hive allows you to track how many times something gets used. If you spent a couple days making a family and no one's using it for a couple months, you might want to figure out why. Hive can help you do that. And of course, attaching files to uploads. Again, something we didn't show off in the webinar today, but is a very technical capability of Hive. Anything you post in Hive, you can attach other documents to. You can even attach URLs to. So if you're doing things like building families and putting them up there, if you want to attach the cut sheet or the URL link to where you got the information from, that is absolutely phenomenal, because we all need to know where our families started from. They all started from somewhere. Okay? So with that, everybody, thank you for giving me 20 minutes or so of your day. Really do appreciate it. I hope everybody stays safe out there from the COVID-19. Everybody's staying home, working from home. I hope everybody is good, safe, and healthy. So with that, everyone, I'm going to turn it to the chat right now, and I'm going to start trying to answer some of your questions. Of course, if you have any other additional questions after the webinar, or you want to learn about how to get your free Hive trial, go ahead and visit sales@atgusa.com or call your sales rep. All right, we got a question here. Is this for just content, or is it for a Revit file that is a central model that multiple people are working on? That is a great question. So BIM 360 is really in a position to best handle Revit project information, whereas Hive is in the best position to handle Revit content information. However, this doesn't mean that you cannot put a Revit file in Hive. You can absolutely put a Revit project in Hive like we just saw, but putting that Revit project in Hive is not the same functionality as putting that Revit project in BIM 360. For example, BIM 360 Design, that's the central model hosted in the cloud that everybody's getting access to. Hive does not do that. That is very unique to BIM 360 to be able to do that. However, if you had container files of Revit, container files for families or schedules or settings or system families, whatever that is, those container files can be put up there. They can then be opened and or downloaded, and then someone can use a transfer project standards command in Revit to transfer that data from that file into whatever project they're currently working on. Got a question about Adobe files. I haven't tested any specific Adobe files, but I know that we've had pretty good luck with some other people putting scan files up there, print files up there, picture files up there from all different file types. Our marketing department had used Hive for quite a while, so they put all their stuff up there, and they were very happy with the functionality and searchability of Hive. Another question here about how much space is available on Hive. Currently, Hive is unlimited. As much space as you want. So if you get your free trial of Hive, go nuts. Okay, everybody. While it's unlimited, take advantage. Got a question here about what's the difference between Autodesk BIM 360 and Hive. Already kind of explained this one a little bit, everybody. BIM 360 is going to handle most of your project stuff, whereas Hive is going to handle your content, right? So if you are a user and you're using BIM 360, that's great. And you're in BIM 360, you're doing your project design and everything is working okay. But you eventually run into a spot where you're like, oh, I need a new family. I don't have the family I need to place in here. Then what? Then if you don't have Hive or another cloud-based solution, if you will, you're pretty much relegated to a VPN and pretty much a long time to get your content available to you and then into the model. A question here about you potentially using SysQ families. My understanding is that SysQ is still very much RFA based, and if it's that family file, then absolutely. If it's an RFA file type, you shouldn't have a problem. Think of Hive in that manner as your content library just simply stored in the cloud. So the same way that they would go get their content through your folder structure, they can go get their content through Hive. All right, guys. Well, that looks like it's about the end of the question list. The ones at the end there were kind of redundant to some of the others that were previously answered. So I'm going to pay attention to the chat here, guys. I'll hang out for a little while longer. If there's any more questions, go ahead and feel free to type them in. Getting some questions on price here, guys. And I'm not going to discuss the price here in the webinar today because the price is specific to your situation. Obviously, right now, everyone is free. Right, we're giving it away free. When you talk to your sales rep, they'll be able to give you more details on the price that it would be at come renewal time. But right now, guys, Hive is free, and I like free stuff. I don't know about you. I always like to take advantage of free stuff, and BIM 360 is free as well. So if you ain't got it now, now's the time. I got a question about if you open up a file in Hive and make a change, does it change the original file that you posted in Hive as well? No, it changes the file that's in Hive. Got a question here about linking Hive to a server-based directory. Don't know for certain, but my gut tells me no at this point. I can reach out to CTC and come back to you with that answer, guys. Right now, I am unsure of where that feature is in development. Got a question about said MP4s don't work. What about MOV files? Uncertain. I haven't tested MOV files, guys, but go ahead and feel free to test. If something doesn't upload to Hive, you'll get an error message that says after it's done processing that says it's can't be uploaded basically, and so you'll know that before you move forward. Guys, get a lot of questions about Revit project files. Again, we're not using Hive for Revit project files to work on Revit project files. We're using them as container files for things to be transferred from one thing to another. So I got a question here about links and links through Hive. Obviously, if I'm putting something in Hive, guys, that's breaking the pathing of the links. It's not going to be able to read through Hive to the links, right? So we're just using Revit projects in Hive as container files, like I had mentioned. If you can think of other creative ways to use them, by all means, go ahead. And that would be the same thing for CAD files and external references. So with that, everybody, we're going to wrap up the webinar today. Again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being engaged, buddy. Guys, I enjoyed my time very much with you. Hope to talk to you all soon. And we will see you next time. Everybody stay safe and hunkered down. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.